welcome to another exciting week of Thrive Live. We have quite a lot of new faces, so I wanted to take a moment and go back and revisit that discussion of root cause medicine. And so this will actually be kind of like a part two of the first discussion that we had months ago, and it's in the archives if everyone wants to look into it. But we want to really understand what does root cause medicine really mean? What do we mean when we talk about it? This is going to be more of a philosophical discussion, but it really impacts health. And I really want you to be able to take away this understanding of what root cause medicine is, because even if you're not a patient of mine, you can then take this information and ask your primary care doctor the right questions to keep investigating the root cause for why you feel the way that you do. And that's so important because then you can understand how to unravel it, how to realign the body. So what really is root cause medicine? Root cause medicine is an approach with healthcare that just doesn't take the Band-Aid treatment for the answer. It is where we keep digging deeper and deeper until we ultimately get to that final answer. And the final cause that is triggering disease and imbalance and dysfunction in the body. And most often it's an orchestra of events, right? It's not just going to be diet, not just going to be nutrients, not just going to be the gut, the adrenals, the sleep. It's the orchestra and how they're all coming together. So I want to take a pause and challenge you. So reflect on your body. What do you think is the root cause going on inside? Let's just say fatigue. If you're tired, what is the root cause of your fatigue? Or what do you think is the root cause of your thyroid issues? So just take a moment. We're going to pause and let you think about that. And I would love, for those of you who are patients of mine or non-patients or listening, I would love to hear what you think is the root cause, because I love this discussion and I'd love to be able to take everyone's understanding further. So let's give some statistics, some stats in terms of why it is so important to understand root cause methodology and approach. So 42% of deaths are overall attributed to heart disease or cancer. 10% of the US population is diabetic. Diabetics have twice the medical costs as non-diabetics. And many of our most dangerous diseases begin before the symptoms present. That's huge. So by the time the disease and we see the symptoms, it's been going on for a long time. So for example, heart disease starts 20 to 40 years before a typical diagnosis is made. Cancer starts 15 to 20 years before a diagnosis is typically made. Alzheimer's can start 30 to 50 years before we see that diagnosis come out. So this is where if we dig into root cause now, when you're healthy, we can dramatically decrease the health risk factors that you have later on in life to let you live in a more vibrant, thriving state as you get older. So my goal is not to invoke fear and anxiety with throwing out all of these stats of death and heart disease and cancer and Alzheimer's, but to really bring into our conscious the importance of optimizing our health now, today, when we don't have these diseases yet, when we're feeling healthy, so that we really want to reduce our chance of disease, the intensity of the disease later on in life. Paying the price for optimizing health now is so much cheaper when you look at the finances of paying disease later in life. But it's not even just financially, it's what it does to your day-to-day life when you end up having these full-on diseases. So I'm going to take a moment and give you a visual to look at. So let me share a screen here. So current patients of mine, you're very familiar with this. So we have our traditional model versus the aligned health model. The aligned health model is going to be more about understanding that root cause, that working on prevention, maximizing the performance, whereas the traditional model is going to be more about the symptoms. And don't get me wrong, there's definitely a time and a place for the traditional model, right? We need to, if the disease or the pathology is severe enough, we need to be able to put a Band-Aid on it. We need to be able to suppress the symptoms, but know that we're doing that and that we still have to go down and dig for the root cause issues. In terms of therapeutics, drugs and surgery are usually very high on the therapeutic order, whereas lifestyle changes, detoxification, cellular healing is going to be below those therapeutic orders. So if you work on the lower therapeutic orders, the goal is that it can help keep you out of those higher therapeutic orders. The traditional model tends to be more reactive and reductionistic versus proactive and more of a holistic mentality. The aligned health of root cause model also really focuses more on epigenetic control. So epigenetics is the term that we use when we want to control expression of a gene. So instead of just saying, screw it, I have high cholesterol, it's familial, I have the genetics for it, can't do anything about it. Well, we can. We can't change, well, we can't change the genes that you have, but we can work on changing the expression of those genes. It's through fixing the soup of your body, through the nutrients. All of that holistic whole body mindset is going to actually change how those genetics turn on versus turn off. So I just thought that was a really neat visual to really kind of understand the two sides of the coin, and both sides are very needed. We just want to make sure that when we put that Band-Aid on, we know it's a Band-Aid and that we will still go down and fix the underlying cause. Now, let's talk about one other type of analogy. I like this fishbowl analogy. All right, so let's say your fish is sick and he's no longer, or she is no longer nice and yellow and turns color. So what are we going to do? How are we going to fix it? So solution one is we can just give the fish a medication to make the color return back to its normal color. Great. That's helping the color in the moment, but it's not going to fix the issue long term. We could paint the fish the new color. Fish might die from the paint, but that's another option. Or solution three is we want to go in and clean up the environment that the fish is living in. Make sure the fish is getting enough nutrition and the right food, checking the oxygen levels in the water. You are all smart, bright people. You get where I'm going. Ultimately, treat the root cause. Don't just put a blind eye to the color of the fish per se, just to return it back to a perceived normal. Really understand, why did the fish turn purple in the first place? It used to be this nice, gorgeous yellow. That's just an easy, adaptable model. So let's talk about some examples. So let's take this fish model, but what does it look like in our body? So let's talk about the thyroid and thyroid medication. So thyroid medication is a very useful Band-Aid. I prescribe it in my practice as needed, but know that it is just a Band-Aid that's keeping your thyroid hormones in a safe level to protect your heart and your organ systems. But the medication is still a Band-Aid. So you still need to fix that root cause. It could be the ecology of the thyroid in your body, the environmental toxins. The thyroid is like a sponge with environmental toxicity. It could be the nervous system. If you're too stressed, you actually convert your thyroid hormones into a trash form where you pull your thyroid hormone, it's not usable. It could be nutrients. The thyroid needs a lot of selenium and zinc and your minerals to make the hormones and to convert it. It could be digestive. It could be inflammation, hormones. And I know it can feel a little bit overwhelming and opening Pandora's box, but don't be scared, do it. Your body will thank you. Let's talk about fatigue. Caffeine, who doesn't love caffeine? I love it. We know it's delicious and it's an amazing drug. But again, that's a Band-Aid. And so you want to ask, where is your fatigue coming from? Are you not getting good quality of sleep? And for those who really want to dig more into your sleep, I love the Oura Ring, O-U-R-A. It's about a $200 device, but you wear it and then it will start to track your resting heart rate, your heart rate variability, your sleep cycle. So you can really get into, you can nerd out on the data of your sleep, and then you can really see how caffeine affected your sleep that day, alcohol, wine, exercise versus not exercising. And so this device I find is much easier to use than a Fitbit or a watch, because you just put it on your finger and it's a lot more comfortable to sleep. But fatigue could also be coming from adrenals, adrenal fatigue, chronic stress, the thyroid, can even a hyperthyroid or a hypo can both create a fatigue state, inflammation in the gut, having poor cellular nutrients. Now our food is medicine, and if we don't have a nutrient diet, then those cells aren't going to get those nutrients. And then of course, hormones, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, that imbalance as the self can be very exhausting. And you know what I mean? When if you've been through PMS, like right before your period, your energy drops, you go through menopause, and that perimenopausal transition is exhausting. So there are so many different levels, and I haven't even gotten into all of them. I mean, there's mold and Lyme disease and infectious disease, and we can keep going. So just make sure that you are aware and you're having that bigger picture mindset and you're asking the right questions. Is really this the answer? And lastly, let's talk about cholesterol. So high cholesterol, yes, it can definitely be genetic, but again, we can work on changing the expression of those genes through that epigenetic modulation. My big concern is with statins, and because statins deplete the CoQ10. CoQ10 is what we need to maintain strong muscle. So when we cut off that production, it weakens the muscles. What is the heart? It's one big muscle. So the statins are eventually weakening that heart muscle. So it can be doing more damage than good. And there's other ways to go about cholesterol than that. Diet, of course, is a big one. The Mediterranean style diet tends to be one that we keep going back to in medicine. Is a very preventative, proactive, get fresh veggies, tons of fresh fruits, whole grains, fish, lean meats, good fats. And I say good fats like avocados, nuts, seeds. And it's very cardioprotective too. I also see cholesterol as almost like a red flag for inflammation in the body. I tend to find that inflammation is a root cause for cholesterol. And where does inflammation come from? Then you have to right to the next step of where, why. And oftentimes it's coming from the gut. Blood sugar imbalance will definitely cause it. If your thyroid is low, you will see an increase in cholesterol. Liver function will also affect cholesterol. So cholesterol will be absorbed out of the gut, or it will be produced out of the liver. So those are two main big areas to go look if you do have high cholesterol stuff. So let's talk about this. Looks a little chaotic, but let's break it down. So when it comes to uncovering the root cause and realigning the body with this wholeness approach, we really want to address it in mind, body, spirit. So step one, let's break down, discover those obstructions and roadblocks that are blocking your body from healing and coming back to that state of realignment. Is it the toxins? Toxins can be biotoxins from mold, fungus, parasites, viruses, yeast. It could be environmental toxins from chemicals, radiation. There's a lot of toxins that we're actually just getting exposed to on a daily basis. And there's a lot that we can do in our home environment to actually clean that up. And then there's also the deficiencies, right? So not only just the cellular deficiencies, so your minerals, your B vitamins, your antioxidants, there's also your nervous system, your structural aspect. Are your tissues and cells actually getting enough blood flow to them? Are they getting enough oxygen? Are they getting the right neural balance? And then of course, there's the mind, the psychology aspect of, do we feel connected in our relationships with others and ourselves? Do we feel present within our community and the global community? Do we have that connection with our spirituality, for whatever connection that is? And so these are probably the three main core root obstructions to look at. So moving on, you've identified that. The next step Step two is we want to start to cultivate these symptoms. So we want to start to cultivate the gut, the adrenal, the thyroid, the nervous system, the sex hormones, target those nutrients that are really imbalanced, that can be affecting your methylation and mitochondrial function and Krebs cycle. And really build those strong, healthy habits that are going to promote that foundation of health. And those habits can, making sure you're getting the right bedtime routine, getting that quality sleep, exercising, self-care, gratitude, understanding the why of what you do. And if I'm going way too fast, I'm because I know I'm talking about a lot. Don't get overwhelmed. This is why the body is an orchestra, and I hope that you get a little bit more bigger picture understanding of how the body is in balance as an orchestra with this. And then, so once you've identified your roadblocks, you've removed those roadblocks, built up those strong foundations, and then moving forward, carrying this healing momentum forward is where you're going to unlock your inner potential and really understand your body, heal your body, bring your body stat back into the state of wholeness where you're balanced and aligned. And this is where, we have these positive habits that you've put into place to carry your cellular nutrients forward. You feel very balanced psychologically, and you've cleaned up your house from the toxins and minimized your exposure, and you're helping getting them out. So all these habits build on each other to put your body into this place where you can really thrive. So that model I just showed really is how we get to long-term sustainable results. Because we're addressing that root cause, we're cultivating those foundations to realign that body. So what are some of the labs that you can run to get an idea of what's happening inside your body? My favorites, there is the Dutch Complete by Precision Analytics, who looks at your adrenal and sex hormone metabolites. Organic acids testing, where you can look at the mold load, fungal load, your detoxification capability, what your biochemistry is doing on the inside of the cells. So how your DNA is turning over, how your Krebs cycle is running, how your amino acid balance is doing. We're looking for basically if we put into the analogy, your biochemical cycles are like a gutter. Are your gutters clogged up, and are we seeing these clogs in your internal biochemical processes of your cells? They can be highly, highly effective at unlocking and really understanding what's happening deeply inside your body. There's also functional stool analysis, where we look for yeast, inflammation, parasites, imbalanced gut flora. Are you actually producing enough digestive enzymes? Do we see a lot of inflammation and irritation in there? There's also telomere testing. So telomeres are basically the part of the chromosomes inside our cells that are a marker of aging. So the shorter they are, the older you are. The longer they are, the younger your body is. And so we can literally test the size of people's telomeres, and it's about a $200 test, but we can test it and say, yes, your body is physiologically aging too fast, or good job, you're doing a great job. Your body is, we're being able to pull it out into more of a anti-aging rejuvenation, gain a couple years back. Then there's also cellular nutrients. As bunch of companies out there. I like one particular that looks at what your cells are doing on the inside, because that tells us what your body biochemically is trying to use, and then we can extrapolate that data and say, okay, we know this part of your biochemical cycle is trying to burn hot, and what is that? And we take it step by step. Heavy metals, and then of course the traditional cholesterol, inflammation, thyroid, nutrients. Typical cholesterol labs are insufficient, in my opinion. It's way more than just about how many particles you have floating around. We want to know, are they dense? Are they light? Are they oxidizing? These are all the next steps that the cholesterol has to take to form that plaque. So those are my favorites. So that's kind of a starting point. So I want to leave you with painting this picture of what elevated health really can look like for you. We've went in and we've identified these roadblocks. We've we've removed them, we've cultivated the system and started to build the habits to move all this momentum forward. And I also think it's really important to paint this picture of health in our mind, because then our mind will know what it's possible to achieve. So close your eyes, take a couple deep breaths, and I want you to imagine waking up in the morning feeling refreshed and energized, and you feel motivated and excited to step into the day and to see what it brings. Your brain feels sharp. You feel inspired to dive into work, spend time with your family, and you have this freedom to go and exercise and do your self-care activities. You feel love and gratitude for those around you, because you really understand this mind, body, soul connection. And ultimately, you're pain-free and you feel this strength in your body where you can feel like you can accomplish everything they want to accomplish. So paint that picture of your elevated self. And I would love to hear from all of you in terms of what you think your roadblocks are, where you're struggling, where you're feeling great. I would love that. So feel free to shoot me an email back. And I hope that this wasn't too overwhelming, but that you were able to take away a deeper understanding of how your whole body is really an orchestra, and how your body fine-tunedly aligns with itself from the cells all the way out. So I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next week.